Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen Robinson, and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Sean Castrina, who is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, founder of the Weekend MBA, and host of the 10-Minute Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Sean.
It's great to be on the podcast.
Yes, awesome. It's great to have you. You're pretty much a marketing veteran. I know you've been in the game for a long time, working with businesses and helping small businesses to market with the agency that you have. And so today we're going to really kind of be diving deep into, really what really are some of the core components of a successful marketing strategy. What does it look like? And, regardless of the type of business that you have, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's a brick and mortar, or whether it's a mix of both, as you and I know, core fundamentals of marketing go across the board, no matter what type of business that you have. And so I know you're going to enlighten us on that. But before we do get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Yeah, I went to college on a athletic scholarship, Division I athletic scholarship, and figured I would, just kind of get a graduate degree as well. And I took a job right out of college in DC for a nonprofit. And I figured, I'd just eventually be a CEO and make a lot of money. I mean, that's kind of how my brain works, seek, destroy, climb, seek, destroy, climb. And then I lost my dream job. The words you never want to hear ever, unless you're in a vehicle, unless you're in a car with someone, you never want to hear, Sean, we're going in a different direction. Not what you want to hear. So I heard that, and that just kind of, changed my entire way I thought, where you could be let go at any time for nearly any reason, change in leadership. Sure. The finances aren't as strong as you may think the company is. And one day they look at it and realize that they're going to cut the company in half or whatever that may be. So once I experienced that, then my entrepreneurship stepped over, and it was kind of like I could put the same amount of effort in, helping another company into my own company. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And I think it created what I believe are the marketing basics, because I think that a lot of startups, you're really great, probably, veteran business. You guys have been around 22 years. So I find that it's the early startups that really mess it up, the 0 to 5 years. Yeah, I find that they violate the rules of marketing so bad. And then it's an uphill climb the whole way. Right.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. And, when you think about it, like you said early on, we worked for the company, it's probably like the end of the world that, you hear those words, we're going a different direction. And so you already know when you hear those words, that's your whole life passes before you. The axe is about to come out. So we're all familiar with that. But, in hindsight, I'm sure when you think back, it was probably a blessing in disguise, because you were able to create and birth your own, agency.
Yeah. Absolutely. And income wise, there's no comparison to what I make as owning owning numerous companies. Right. So in the end, it all worked out well for me. And and as we always heard, when a door closes, a window opens. It's just all how you take the situation, what you milk from it. You can make nearly any situation a growing experience somewhere, in most cases. There's obviously tragedies out there I don't want to touch. So I'm just going to say in most cases.
Right. I understand.
Yeah. In that case, and doing it, because I didn't have a business degree, I never went to college for business. to me, it was just, it forced me to come up with like fundamentals of business. Like, okay, I always believe I don't bet on outliers. Just in general, an outlier is something that's a rare situation. Like I wouldn't draft a sub 6 foot quarterback. Like just because Drew Brees, was like 5'11", and Patrick Mahomes a little bit. Okay, that's fine. But if you looked at the last 100 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, okay, 99 of them, 98 of them are over a certain height. So I've always said I don't bet on outliers. Right. So I want to know the fundamentals, and I think that's the same thing in business and in marketing, and I think a lot of startups, fail in that, and I could go through a few of those with you if you'd like to, but where I think they mess it up and makes a guy like, makes it really hard to market their companies sometimes when they start off with the basics. Like I see companies like startups with like a bad name. It's amazing. Like I have a store in my area. It's called Fruit Fix It. They fix Apple cell phones. I have been in that shopping center for 5 years. And I thought it was a smoothie shop.
Yeah. As soon as you said that word, I thought maybe organic.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking something on the signs that, but it's and I can, and other ones that that try to be so cute. Like it sounded like, okay, it was cute maybe when you heard it, but unless you're Hulu and Google and Bing and, if you like that, again, they're outliers. But as a general rule, pick a name that somebody, once they hear it, they know what it is you do and sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to make it simple, and don't make it limit you. Don't like do it territorial to the point like Afton Plumbing or something like that, or Afton Digital Marketing. No, expand it to some degree. Mid-Atlantic, global, or something like that.
Regionalize it, or at least
give it some level of scaling.
Sure.
Where you have the opportunity to scale, but these are just two of the early on big mistakes people make.
Yeah,
they pick a name that nobody understands what it is they do, or number two is they pick a name that makes them so small that they limit their chance to scale it. They'd almost have to rebrand it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. So, Sean, when we're thinking about marketing, there's really a lot under the whole category of marketing. And when you're thinking about creating a marketing strategy for your business, whether it's an e-commerce business, whether it's any type of business, what are the kind of core steps that you think any business needs to follow when they're creating just a marketing plan for their business?
I think the first thing is that what are you selling and who's buying it? That's the core, of what it is. Okay, what is it I'm selling? Who would I bet my life on is the most likely to buy it? That's your target customer. So I'm selling widgets. Let's say the person who's most likely to buy it is age 40 to up because they maybe own a house. Whatever it is, there's a target person. We tend to want to start a business and we think everybody's going to buy it, and that's not true. So the first thing I think you got to find out, okay, I'm selling this, and the person who's most likely going to buy it is this. And one of the big mistakes we make is we find the market is so small that it's not big enough. I always say I want something that somebody would buy from me every day if they could.
Yeah.
I can't lose with that. I want something. If I went into a restaurant, if I walked into a McDonald's and I went to 10 tables and I said, would you buy something like this? I would want to know that 50% would say, yeah, sometime in the next year, I would buy something like that.
Yeah.
Because unless you're selling, like islands, planes, or high-end watches, I mean, you have a very limited market, and that may work for somebody. But so I think one of the first, I want to know what am I selling? Who am I selling to? And then what is the messaging I need to use in whatever I'm doing? What is it that I need to communicate that would make them buy from me immediately? The way that I always put it with my clients is this, is that what's the one promise that if you could make and deliver on, your target customer would chase you down for your business? I want to they would literally, they do that. That's the experience. Their product has that. They do this. I got to call them. That's what you want to communicate in your marketing.
Right, for sure.
Something with, it's so clear. Domino's did it. It's old now, but at the time when Domino's was selling pizza, everybody had delivery. Joe's Pizza had two, white Ford Escorts out there, and they would run. Everybody was selling pizza. But when they said, well, okay, what would be an audacious promise? Okay, we're going to deliver you a hot pizza in under 30 minutes. Well, a lot of people may have forgot that, but that took them from nowhere to the most dominant, and still to this day, a dominant pizza delivery company off of that one value proposition that they used for 20 years.
Yeah, it's very true, for sure.
But you think how bold that is, that promise. And now fulfilling it's, it's the hard part, but you need to have a promise that's that strong, and if you do that, it so separates you from your competition.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned a couple of key things as well, as far as, creating the marketing plan, and then making sure that there's that audience for it. Because, you've been around a while, I've been around a while, and I know you've seen it, but there are some products that are very, I guess you could say, kind of niche, where, like you said, they don't fall in that category of, oh, okay, I'm a consumer and I need to buy this every day, every week. This is something I need. But there are a lot of products where it's like, okay, very niche product, where somebody you buy it one time and that's it. And so I guess my question now is that, okay, there may be a market for it. You may have a particular niche product. And there could be a lot of people either locally or globally that can utilize it. But how do you determine, I guess you could say, if that particular product or that particular idea is really kind of worth you kind of going all in?
Beta test, beta test, beta test. I always say, listen to me, before you sell the soup, test the soup. And a perfect example, my son's 21 and he was looking at buying a software company. And I'm playing the devil's advocate in this. Now, I'm a traditional business guy. I'm a brick mortar service company. I own a very good digital marketing company, but I'm just trying to give you, so it wasn't my strike zone, but this goes back to fundamentals. He said this, I said, well, what does the software do? He said it does cover letters for people looking to get a job. My immediate brain said, it's not enough.
Right.
I said, now wait, okay, cover letter. I said, that's okay, but does it do a resume? I said, my natural follow-up would be send a cover, they need a resume. Does it do a follow-up letter after the interview?
Yep.
Right. And that was just in like 1 minute, I mean, but he ran it by me. I said, it's too thin. Number one, the people that are buying it are going to be like college kids. It's not enough money. It's not a repeat sale. Once they get a copy of that letter, they'll just do their own. Right. But that's how you got to think. Sometimes you got to look at your product and really drill down on it a little bit and go, does it have legs? Okay, who would really buy? Who's going to buy this? And then I get, I didn't have to even beta test his, in fairness, but I would beta test anything. I would, do a website with a product on it, and I would pre-sell it. And the biggest problem you could have is sending that email to them. We've gotten such a demand for our product that we're 3 weeks late on delivery, or 6 weeks late, but we're going to send you a gift product with it. However it is, but beta test it before you dive all in. Do some type of testing.
Yeah, that's very key. Now, let's say the business owner's gotten to the point where they've got the idea, however niche the product is, they've beta tested it, they see there's definitely a solid market for it. They've got the numbers there to, substantiate that. And then, they want to basically get it out there to the world. Now, you and I know, and our listeners know, that there are 1,000,001 marketing tactics available. So how does, an e-commerce business or any business know really what specific marketing tactics to use or that are going to be right for their type of business? Okay.
This is why I personally love being in a competitive market. Example, the old phrase is you want blue ocean. Blue ocean means it's a first time to market type of thing. Well, guess what? Google was 13th. GM came up with an electric car. Tesla was way later. But Tesla said, we're just going to have the best looking electric car and the fastest. And that carved out their niche. They get like a 1 year, back order on them. So right. When you have this, this product, it's got to stand out. It's got to stand out in such a unique way. But when you bring it, trying to think how here, I kind of hit a complete brain fart there. When I try to launch something, I want to look back to my target customer, and a couple things I would do. One, I like competition because I'm going to steal what my competition does. Mm-hmm. So going back to that, I literally had my brain shut down for two. It was going so fast, and I goes, okay, there it is. That's what you were thinking. I look at what my competition does, and I try to carve out a better niche. Mm-hmm. If I look at what my competition's doing, this advertising, and this advertising, and they've been in business for a decade, it probably works. The question is, can you make a better mousetrap?
Yeah.
So the first thing is I want to see what my competition's doing, because again, if success tends to leave footprints.
Exactly.
But then I go back to my target audience, who's most likely to buy from me. And then I go, what's the least expensive way to attract that customer? Mm-hmm. Again, I know who that customer is, because I did my testing to find out my target audience between 18 and 25, male, female. So you want to attract that customer in the least expensive, your cost to acquire a customer, you'd like to keep down. Mm-hmm. So I would look at my cost to acquire that customer, and I would beta test a few different methods. Mm-hmm. Example, I own a digital marketing company, but I also buy Super Bowl ads.
Okay.
Why? Well, the Super Bowl gets a lot of eyes. I mean, I just pre-bought my ad today for our Super Bowl in our regional area. I don't have to buy the nation, but it's pricey, of course. Mm-hmm. And digital marketing creates 1/3 of all our customers come in, 1/3 through, digital marketing. But okay, where's the other 2/3? Well, another 1/3 comes in through referrals and repeat customers. But the other 1/3 is TV still. People still turn on the TV. Mm-hmm. We still do radio ads just to get in their subconscious mind so that they kind of heard about us. Yeah. We'll do like a 6 weeks campaign of nothing but testimonials. Mm-hmm. So every objection that would keep somebody from buying our service company, we have a TV commercial to overcome it. Mm-hmm. So they've just heard it. Yeah. So my point is, you find your target customer, then you find your least expensive way to acquire them. After you tried what your competition's done, do a better mousetrap, then you got to throw some things against the wall and see what grabs. My experience with advertising is, if it doesn't work quickly, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Exactly.
No matter what anybody's told you, and I've been in marketing, directly in marketing for over 20 years, it works or it doesn't work. The idea that you need 90 days to do it, I don't buy it. 90 days may make it better.
Yeah.
But I have found when it's crickets for 30 days, it's crickets.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
That's so true. Now, let's say, we've gotten to the point where we've beta tested it. We've determined by doing, some trial runs on different types of marketing strategies, whether, let's say, maybe you do an email campaign, maybe you also do some Facebook marketing, maybe you do Google ad campaigns, you do all that. And, you kind of throw some things at the wall, and then you get the data back, like you said, fairly quickly, less than 30 days. And you're starting to see, okay, which particular strategies are working, which particular marketing channels are working for you. Now, in your opinion, for the companies that you've worked with and just in your experience, because I'm all about being organized and kind of, keeping things on track. Do you think does it make sense to create like a marketing calendar for business at this point? And if so, should that be done annually, semi-annually?
I have, it's funny you say that in my phone. I get a spreadsheet at the end of every single day.
Okay.
Every day. And there's a column, it's probably 13 sources of how we get business.
Okay.
And in the, digital will create the number one, and then it'll go TV, radio, vans, referral, postcards, and it runs like really long across.
Yeah.
I want to keep track of every way that somebody can find out about us, because that's going to eliminate the things that I'm going to continue to do. Mm-hmm. And it's going to make me double down on the things that work.
Okay.
So I think one of the big mistakes that business owners make, they have no idea what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the point where I don't have to make an emotional marketing decision. I got the data. Mm-hmm. And so the things that don't work anymore, I don't do as much of, or none of. The things that work for me, I double down on. Mm-hmm. And so I think, keeping track of it, you should be a data-driven business owner.
Yeah.
I always say, I don't want to make decisions based on emotion, because that's emotion. I want one based on, okay, it's easy for me to do a lot of digital advertising when I see the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't mind doing a Super Bowl ad when I know that I've gotten $200,000 customers out of it.
Right.
So because I tracked it, and they said, "Oh, I saw your Super Bowl ad. That was incredible." Mm-hmm. Surprised to see a small business owner buying such a whatever. Yeah. So when I hear that, I double down on it. So I've bought in a Super Bowl ad probably for nearly the last decade.
Okay.
But if you're not tracking it with your customers, that is like, we do it all. We just track everything. We want to know how they heard about us. And you're, on the front end, when you, even in software things, if you ask people, they answer. Mm-hmm. If you don't ask, you'll never know. Yeah, and then you need to be able to have that information at your access, so you're able to use it in making future decisions. But again, most people are just happy their phone's ringing. They don't know what's working. Yeah. And then if I may throw in one other piece of advice, having businesses over 20 years, whatever's working at some point will not work for you. Mm-hmm. So always look for the next best thing that works.
Yeah, very, very true.
We tend to get comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I'm glad you mentioned that, especially kind of in our space that I've been in as a SaaS company, and, just seeing how things change so quickly. And, a lot of times business, like you said, they get comfortable, especially when you're dealing with some of the things that are out of your control, like, let's say Google, for instance. Even if you're, let's say, listed in Google, your organic keywords are ranked pretty well against your competition. All of that can change overnight, as you and I know. Google can make a slight change to their algorithm, and you're at the bottom, or you're on the second page of the results, third page of results, and then that can eliminate a huge portion of your business. And if you don't have that next thing immediately lined up, that you can kind of take, the resources that you were spending in Google and put it into that next thing, then you're going to be lost. You're going to be struggling to try to make things work.
Always look for, I always say, you kind of, you picture, you're trying to get all these little waterways building into like your pond. You have your pond, you're trying to get all these multiple things feeding fresh water into it. And over 20 years, it's things that I thought would last forever didn't. Mm-hmm. You're right about algorithms change, and just certain things that work just don't work anymore at the level they did, or they're not bringing you your target customer that they once attracted. So never, ever, ever stop looking for more ways to bring in customers. And I would even put it this is how strong I am about it. I look at it like it's the way that you truly scale your company. Example, if I have 4 things that bring in about $250,000 a year into my company, and it makes me $1 million company, I would make it my life's mission to figure out what the next 5th $250,000 thing is. Yeah. Worst case scenario, my company grows 25%. But if one of those 4 that were once working doesn't work anymore, it slides into that place. Mm-hmm. But what most business owners do, they hold on to what's working, and then one drops out, and then the other one drops out, and then they're doing 50% of what they once were, and they can't catch up. They don't have the cash flow to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Well, as we get ready to wrap things up, I wanted to see if you've dealt with, of course, a lot of businesses that you've ran yourself, businesses that you're working with. I wanted to see if you could highlight an example of a business that used a specific marketing strategy that really, kind of propelled them and got them to really, meet and exceed their expectations. What specifically did they do, and what were some of their kind of core tactics?
I'll give two illustrations, because I think it shows old school, new school. One company. I own one of my companies is a construction company that does incredible, which is odd because I don't know the difference between 2 screwdrivers. And I literally have a plastic toolbox that I got when I was married. Don't know anything about it. Couldn't assemble a 3-piece birdhouse. Mm-hmm. But I've made millions and millions of dollars with this company. One of the things that we did early on that still works is that when we would buy newspaper ads, we'd buy it in the business section. We would create our own infomercials, bragging about creating the perfect experience. And people would read it, and it would look like it was written by the paper.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, stuff like people read it, and they're like, it looks credible. It's in a newspaper. And because I'm showing 2 ends of the spectrum. This is old school.
Right.
But again, we would buy ad space in the business section and kind of create our own infomercial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, new to the area, if we're launching a company in a different area, new to the area, Johnson, whatever, one of the best rated companies in it, they're BBB A+ rating, they're specializing, blah, 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 blah. Half page.
Got it.
Okay. It looks extremely credible.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is that when all my competition switched over to digital marketing and I knew nothing about it, I started a digital marketing company. And this is the funny story. Everybody tried to pitch me digital marketing. The Super Bowl TV people came over, because everybody in radio and TV and traditional marketing all had a digital marketing end.
Yeah.
So they all come into my conference room over like a 1-month period to pitch me on it.
Yeah.
The radio company, one person in that meeting, there was like 4 of them. He had worked with Fortune 100 companies, super sharp guy, quietest guy in the room. Called him the next day. I said, I'll give you my business if you handle my account.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with this guy for 3 years and we launched Gig Strategic. You can look it up online. It's an incredible digital marketing company. But the point is that when I realized I was losing it, I got aggressive. And instead of just buying ad space, I bought the company.
Gotcha.
I founded the company because I'm like, I don't ever want to be dependent on this one-eyed leprechaun handling my digital marketing, because over the years they'd come and gone.
Yeah.
Every time I found somebody that worked, they, went, I couldn't get in touch with them or they moved on.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, but it shows you how aggressive I feel like you need to be. Again, I creative and infomercial ad, and then to the point where I buy and start my own multi-million-dollar digital marketing company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just think you have to be very aggressive with marketing. I'll closing with this. Everybody knows Budweiser sells beer. Guess what? They'll spend $25 million at the Super Bowl to remind you. And every single person in the United States of America probably knows that Budweiser sells beer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're right. You know what it is, and they're still going to tell us.
Yeah. That's what you got to do. Well, yeah. Thank you, Sean, for sharing those closing tips. And you're really so right about those core things, and just reminding people about your business, and then just always kind of getting out there. It's regardless of how big you are, you really
never stop marketing. That's my best advice.
Exactly.
Never, ever stop marketing. Never.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Well, that's awesome, Sean. I definitely have learned a lot today. Thank you for joining us. And I know our listeners have as well. And, before we do let you go, I always like to switch gears here so our listeners can get to know you just a little bit better. So if you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Other than getting fired from a job, I did stand-up comedy on a bet. Okay. So that was in a huge thing called Clash of the Comics, which is really cool because they start out with 16, and I was a finalist. So that was totally on a dare. So, but so that's probably the craziest thing I've ever done. Okay,
awesome. Well, yeah. If you decide to reinvent yourself again, you may have a career in comedy. So.
I always told my friends, when I get old, I'm just gonna go to cities under an alias. Okay. And just go on stage and just rattle some stuff off. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds good. Thank you for sharing that, Sean. And lastly, before we do let you go, why don't you let our listeners know what would be the best way to reach you if they want to pick your brain anymore about all things marketing?
Get a free book. If you go to SeanCastrina.com, you can get my 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success, countless New York Times bestselling reviews on the back of it. It's just a really good book. And if you like something simple, I'm very quick to the point. I host the 10-Minute Entrepreneur podcast, and I think either of those will be of great help to you.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, Sean. Definitely encourage people to go to your site to take advantage of that free resource, SeanCastrina.com. We'll have that link in the show notes as well. And thank you, Sean, for joining us today on the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level, but are tired of wading through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.